you choosing mechanical engineering
Yeah.
and going through your journey, uh, what did you find challenging? You went to Arizona State University, right? What were the
Mhm.
challenges that you encountered, like classes or the support system in your school? Like maybe you didn't have tutors. Like what are the things that you had to overcome as a student?
I like it's funny you say tutors, and I'm like, I know all about tutoring centers as a professor, but like as a student, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm sure we had those resources, but I don't remember anyone ever talking about tutoring centers. So I guess definitely not having that resource, not knowing about that resource would be
Mm,
a problem. Um, we had office hours from professors, but a lot of my professors were like really intimidating. I didn't ever go to office hours to see a professor until grad school. That was the first
mm.
time I ever went to office hours. Which is
Wow.
crazy, right? Like, and then as a professor, like I had students, I was always like, come to my office hours, come to my office hours, office hours, office hours. But our like at Arizona State University, our professors' office hours, I think they were on the syllabus, but I don't remember them ever really being brought up much.
Mm.
And I think it was only like an hour and you had to schedule by an appointment or something like that. And so I never did it. Um, and then I did have like a bunch of people I knew in engineering, which was super helpful. So like all of the fellow students, like we would work together. If I had a class that I didn't have like peers in my cohort in,
Mhm.
that was really hard. Like I took physics before all the other students like that I was in the same cohort with.
Oh, you were the guinea pig.
Yeah. So like because I took it my first semester of college and a lot of my peers were taking chemistry, but I already took
Mm.
chemistry in high school and I already did like all my calc in high school. So then they were like, well, you can take physics then your first semester. So I didn't know anybody and they were all older than me and they're all kind of like, who is this person? Like we've never
Yeah,
seen her in
yeah,
classes. Like she really doesn't belong here. Um, and so that was kind of that mentality of like not feeling like I belong.
yeah.
Sometimes people said it and sometimes people like made it clear. And then sometimes
People
people were,
said it. People say that.
oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Or like, like, wow, you don't look smart. And I'm like, well, what does
What?
smart look like? Like, you know
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
Like,
Wow.
like, oh, you don't look smart either. Thanks. Like, I don't know. Is that a like, it's one of those things you're like, I don't know if you're trying to compliment me or
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're mean or like, but it is a little discouraging. So like,
yeah. I don't
uh,
understand why people would say that. It's
I
just,
don't know
it's
either.
just. Anyway,
Right.
but you're here now. You're doing
I am here
amazing. So,
now. And we also didn't have like a really strong community of women on that campus because I was on the Polytechnic campus and it was all like STEM fields
mhm.
and STEM majors. So my best friend, like another one of my friends, and myself, and then like a few advisors. Like at that point, we didn't really have any female engineering professors yet. We did end up getting a female engineering professor like a couple before I left. But we had an advisor from career services and another person from psychology. They helped us start a women in science engineering organization on the campus,
Mm.
which was
Oh.
really cool. And so we didn't do, I've been a part of Society of Women Engineers and Women in Science and Engineering. Like I've done both organizations, really
Mhm.
like them. Um, that particular campus, I'm really glad we went with WISE, Women in Science and Engineering, because we
Mhm.
didn't have very many engineers
Mm.
and well, female engineers. So
Right, right.
that was nice when we started that. Then we started having a community of women, and that like really helped a lot. And study groups were huge. Like that was so important. Like when I didn't have study groups, that definitely was a distraction. That was a challenge.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like one of the
Yeah.
things that I share, like you say, it's having a study group, having people that you can teach, people that you can ask questions.
Yeah.
Uh, I was very lucky to run into my friend, Korean dude. I ran into him my first semester at Virginia. So I'm a transfer student. I went to a
Okay.
community college my first 2 years, and then I
Good.
transferred to
I'm all
Virginia
for
Tech.
that. Hmm.
And then, so my first day at Virginia Tech, I remember I was walking around. It was statistics. Statistics
Yeah.
class. It was like an 8 a.m. Wednesday class. Campus
Those are
was
the best.
empty. Yeah, campus was empty. Uh, Getting a little chilly already in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I remember walking around. I get into class. There's no one. I'm like, okay, well, what time does the class start? It was
Yeah.
8 a.m. nothing, and then Korean dude arrives, my friend, well, eventual
Mhm.
friend, and then he's like, "What time was the class start?" I was like, "Oh, I thought 8 a.m." Anyway, the class started at 9:30, so
Oh, a little
so
early.
I was like, "Great start to transferring here to Virginia Tech. Great start."
Right.
Anyway, so he and I, we started talking and we kind of just became friends, and then we just happened to be taking a bunch of classes together, and
Mhm.
then so yeah, so that was and he was very smart. He was like your typical 3.8, 3.9 type of like GPA type of student.
Yeah.
And I graduated with a 3.2 or so. So
Which is
I
very good for engineering.
right. Thank you. So and then I remember like he would always beat me on tests, like on thermodynamics. Because
Yes.
we would have studied together. We would study the same thing.
Yeah.
And then, but I knew he told me that sometimes he would go home and study even more. I would go home. I would go home and just sleep. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep.
Yeah. You're like, cheater, you're studying more than me,
Yeah,
man. Like,
yeah,
I wonder
exactly.
why.
And then I never remember one day that I actually beat him on a test on heat transfer. We're taking a heat transfer,
Right.
and I beat him for once, and I was like, "Oh, I beat you, motherfucker!" Anyway, so they just started laughing. Yeah, we had a good time. He's in California now.
I think that part is huge though. Like that friendly competition where
Yeah,
sometimes it feels like, I hate you. Why do you beat me on every test? And why are you the best in every class? But
yeah,
then most of the time it's just like, it's that extra push for the challenge.
yeah. That's a really
I
good
think
point.
that ends up as like a huge motivation. Yeah.
That's a really good
I,
point.
yeah.
Did
Cause I
you
know that's a
do you
lot.
have that with your friends, with your
Oh, for
cohort?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like, I ended up being the one that, like, was like kind of the brat of like, what the heck? You did really good on the exam. Like, shut up. You can't be upset that you missed 2 points. Like, get out of here.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to talk to you. Then I'd be like, okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right.
yeah.
But
Oh,
sometimes sometimes it would be like, oh, like you get beat by a couple points. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then being like one of the only women, sometimes I was like, I want to like represent for the women. Like, we're going to do better. Like it was that
yeah,
extra, which sometimes like gives you like more anxiety in the class and more stress, but also sometimes it gives you like that more motivation of like, no, I want to like prove like it's, you know,
right, right.
that we can do this. But like the reality is like women can do this, anyone can do this, anyone can do
Yeah,
engineering.
anyone.
You don't have
Yeah,
to prove anything. But if you want to like go be competitive because you're a competitive person like I am, then go have fun with it. But don't worry about proving anything for anyone.
right. Yeah, no, I like the mentality. Just go out and do it for yourself, and then as long as you're doing better that you did, or at least just as
Yeah.
good, just as well, then just keep going.
Yeah.